Alright, y'all, let's get into it. Car Talk episode 1. Today we're introducing the problem. This is a problem that affects all of us, and what I'm talking about is inflation and dilution. It's the creation and corruption of our current monetary system, right? So the money that we have here in the US is a fiat currency. Every fiat currency to ever exist throughout history has failed at some point, and we are not immune to that. But there's a couple other problems I want to talk about, and that refers to the inflation and dilution part. Most of us already get like the inflation. Prices go up in the grocery store, but not a lot of people are stopping to think about it truly and what the effects of it are. So when we get on the topic of inflation, it's important to remember that we live in a free market capitalist society, and over time prices should actually be going down because people are competing for market share, right? They're trying to make their products better, make their products cheaper so that they can win over the consumers. And we are seeing the complete opposite of that, with prices of everyday goods and services just keep being driven up and up and up, to where most people, it's becoming unaffordable to live, right? So why the inflation happens? Inflation's happening because we have a money that's easy to create, right? So the government goes over to the Federal Reserve, which is the central bank for the United States government. It's not actually part of the United States government. But they'll go over there and ask them for money, and they give it to them. Because there's more money, people are going to ask for more for their same services. The value of everything, the value of the service isn't changing. The value of the goods that you're buying isn't changing, but the price is, right? And that's because they keep this cycle of buying or borrowing more money. And this process with like the entire, it'd be the national debt, right? That is never going away. Why do I say that's never going away? Because every dollar that's borrowed is owed interest. So if the first dollar that was borrowed, they wanted 6% interest back on it, that means that they'd owe $1.06 back. But if you have a monetary supply of $1 and you owe somebody $1.06, I'm going, I ain't waiting for that dude. That means you got to go borrow another dollar in order to pay that debt or service that debt. So what they do is they just keep on borrowing another dollar, another dollar, another dollar. And we're at the point where it's starting to become, it's like a compound curve, right? And we know how the compound curve goes. It's like this. And we are starting to accelerate up on the compound curve, because now we're paying more to service our debt than what we spend on our national defense budget, right? So how inflation affects everybody, aside from just the prices going up, it also impacts asset values. And an asset value that I'm referring to right now is homes. So think about the people that are living on fixed income, on Social Security after they retired and whatnot. So they might be getting a fixed income of $3,000 a month, right? And when they retired, based on the value of their home, they were able to afford the property taxes and insurance on it, even if their home's paid off. But what we're seeing is a lot of these older people that are retired are going to have to start moving out of their houses, because as there's more dollars being introduced into the ecosystem, the price of their house goes up. That means the insurance goes up, because if they have a home that's $500,000 and it's $1 million now the insurance company's like, hey, we're not insuring a $500,000 home, we're insuring $1 million home, so we need to charge you more. And that same thing goes with property tax. So with those two going up, they're seeing a lot of older people have to move in with their sons and daughters because they can't afford to live where they are now. That's one thing that happens with inflation and the current monetary system, right? The other part is dilution. And dilution is something that affects all of us, and we don't even realize it most of the time. So what dilution's referring to is when you check your bank account, let's say you have $10,000. And $10,000 can be a lot or a little depending on how much or how many dollars there are, right? So let's say there's $100,000. Now you own 10% of that monetary supply. But because we have a fiat currency that's not backed by anything, the government can print money whenever they want and however much they want. So let's say overnight a war happens, they need to print off money, they need to pay soldiers, they need new weapons, equipment, stuff like that. They print off another 100,000. So when you check your bank account in the morning, you still have $10,000. You don't think anything's changed. But now there's $200,000 in circulation, which means your purchasing power just got cut in half. And that is a major problem. It might not seem like that at first. This is blinding me, dude. It might not seem like that at first, that it's a problem or whatever, because your numbers don't change and you go to the grocery store, prices are still the same. But throughout time, it'll start impacting you more and more. And that is why we have to take risks. We can't save our way to retirement. We have to take risks with our money, invest it into the stock market, real estate, all this other stuff, because they keep on printing more dollars. And whenever you think about it this way, they are creating these dollars out of thin air. That's because, like, due to it being backed by nothing, they can just print this money at will out of thin air. So you go spend your time, talent, energy, and resources to go get this dollar, and the people that have the money printer, because there's 7 families that privately own the central bank and they get paid dividends, right? So they create money out of thin air, give it to the government, and then they make a 7% dividend off of it. So they create the money, and then we go and have to spend all our time, energy, resources, and whatnot to go get this money. They just give it to themselves, right? So that's one of the corruption aspects of the current monetary supply or monetary system. But yeah, so that's the problem, and to really understand that problem, it's going to take some deep diving. There's a really good YouTube series out there called The Hidden Secrets of Money. I'll drop the link down below to the playlist, and you guys go watch that. It's very important you watch that and understand that, and then we can continue. But so to understand the problem, if you don't understand the problem, you won't appreciate the solution. And the solution to this is Bitcoin. That's what I found when I went down the rabbit hole last year. So how Bitcoin solves the corruption aspect of all things is being truly decentralized. So everybody that mines Bitcoin or runs a Bitcoin node is keeping up the security of the Bitcoin network, right? So no one entity, government, or person can control Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's proof of work. In crypto, there's proof of work, proof of stake, and proof of history. Solana's proof of history, Ethereum's proof of stake, Bitcoin's proof of work. And what proof of work does is it stops that whole entire somebody else creates money thing, right? Because everybody, if you want Bitcoin, everybody that has Bitcoin right now, they either mined the Bitcoin, so they worked for the Bitcoin, they spent their energy, the time, and resources mining Bitcoin, like paying for the electricity, having somewhere to store the miner, buying the miner itself, having the internet costs, right? So having proof of work stops that creation of money, or the corruption creation aspect of money. Then what Bitcoin solves with the whole dilution and inflation thing is we have this fixed supply of 21 million Bitcoin, and that's all we'll ever have. So they can't inflate it. If they can't inflate it by creating new Bitcoin, because we're still mining Bitcoin. I think it's like 2150s when the last Bitcoin's expected to be mined. But if they can't create more Bitcoin after the 21 millionth Bitcoin, that means that we'll be able to use this as a store of value. So instead of us saving money and the government printing off more money, and then all of our time, talent, and energy being stolen from us, we finally have somewhere to park that for retirement and for later times, and we don't have to worry about everything that we worked for being stolen from us. And that's the thing with Bitcoin too, is that you can buy a cold storage wallet and you take it off these exchanges, send it to your cold storage wallet. As long as you have the seed phrase, you have access to that Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, whenever you have it in cold storage, the odds of it being hacked are like none. There's no chance, unless you exposed it somewhere, took a picture of it online, or had somebody else see it or something like that. That's the only way that somebody would really be able to access your Bitcoin. But the government can't come and seize it from you. If you get into a lawsuit or something, like, there's no way. This is truly yours. If you look at property, it's even a better store of value than purchasing real estate. And I say that because you still have the aspect of eminent domain, where the government can come and take your property from you, and you're just left there with nothing, really. So anyways, I'm gonna wrap up here, guys. Thank you, Mutaz, for suggesting these videos, and I'm gonna drop a link to his Instagram and his clothing brand down below. That's all I have for you guys today. If you have any questions, comments, what you want to see next, let me know. I'm probably gonna move into the whole Bitcoin strategic reserve next, because Trump decided he's gonna add Solana, XRP, ADA, and Ethereum into that. And that doesn't sound like a Bitcoin strategic reserve to me, but all right, we'll catch you guys later. Peace.